It was supposed to be a terrific Thursday night football game. Joe Burrow against Lamar Jackson, two AFC heavyweights. We found out pretty early on as social media posts circulated with Joe Burrow having a wrap on that throwing thumb, and then he leaves the game. Video from the sideline. He cannot even grip the ball. He is inconsolable on the sideline in pain. The Ravens end up winning 34-20. Kevin Oestreicher from Locked On Ravens joins me now. And Kevin, I don't mean to downplay what the Ravens did in this one, but injuries and officiating end up being the big story in this game. Unfortunately, that's just the product that we were given in this one.
Yeah, I think, Peter, the Ravens did what they were supposed to do, which, Jake Browning comes in the game. You get a little nervous because Joe Burrow kind of walked that defense down the field on that touchdown drive. But the Ravens, with Jake Browning in the game, they blitzed them, they confused them. And on the offensive side of the ball, even though Lamar did go down with the ankle, comes back in the game, toughs it out. We're waiting to hear currently on Mark Andrews. Odell goes down late. But I kind of looked up and the Ravens had 33 points. And I'm like, oh, okay, when did this happen? Because Gus Edwards continued his strong season. Keaton Mitchell did his thing as well. The key with the Ravens is them not, one, blowing fourth quarter leads, and two, them not having these self-inflicted mistakes. Baltimore did neither in this game. And yes, Joe Burrow going out was a factor. The officiating for both sides, honestly. The Ravens had some calls go against them. The Bengals obviously did as well. That was a factor too. But I think a lot of people in Baltimore are just happy that the Ravens won this game in the fashion they did, even though it was minus a couple of key offensive play and defensive for the Bengals and Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Sam Hubbard, etc.
This was also coming off a game in which the Ravens seemed to be in control of one and then let one slip away. You had to feel like that was on their minds this week. Second half, let's not let Jake Browning get back into this one. I want to talk about Odell because he was one of the stars of this game, and that had not really been the case so far this season. But each of the last two games before this one, he had scored a touchdown. He gets 4 catches for $116, does not get into the end zone here. What is he starting to round into form? What has been different for him that you've seen?
Yeah, it seems that way. And I think, honestly, the thing that Odell needed was time. He got injured early in the season. And I think that, again, no one expected the Ravens to get prime New York Odell, which was 1,200 yard seasons, 10 touchdowns. And that should never have been the perception of what his role was going to be. But I think what they've done is they've moved him around the field, put him in the slot some. And with that, he's just gotten healthy. I mean, him and Rashad Bateman both missed some time, and there was a lot of discourse about, well, is Odell washed? Is Rashad Bateman a bust? But now you have those guys. They're both great alongside Zay Flowers. All three of those guys are exceptional route runners. And we've seen that the weeks that have gone on, Odell has gotten stronger. He's gotten more confident. He's gotten better. I think the touchdown that he got off his back, that was a big one for him to be able to score and just have all that emotion be let out. Now he can go out there, play football, not force it. But I don't think he was necessarily forcing to the point where it became an issue. The other part of it is Odell didn't have a lot of time with Lamar because Lamar didn't play in the preseason. Odell didn't play in the preseason. This was a new offensive system too. So I think the key to this Ravens offense was always, can they hit their stride in October, November, and then hit their peak when you start playing playoff football in January, February. They're on their way right now, so a bit inconsistent, but this was a great step. And Odell going over 100 for the first time since 2021 was a great moment for him and another milestone for him coming back from that injury.
Understanding that Joe Burrow did not play for a portion of this game, but after last week and what happened with the Browns in the second half and the Ravens defense, which had been phenomenal for much of the first half of this season, does this at least feel like a step for you that they can, okay, we're still us even after what happened a week ago?
Yeah, I think so. And part of the reason, both the offense and the defense, honestly, it was a little worrying early on to see the Ravens almost get out physical again by the Cincinnati offense this time. But I think they definitely bounced back and they started to build their lead and they didn't give it up. The defense with Jake Browning, obviously, they did their job, but the offense was moving down the field, taking time off of the clock. And that's not been the MO this year. The Ravens have been a lot more efficient this season, where usually they're not going to take 10 minutes off the clock. They're going to run the ball, but they're going to also go down the field in 5 plays, 80 yards in 4 minutes and just do it that way. So it was a nice bounce back game for them for sure, especially when you talk about just how disappointing that Cleveland loss was. Early in the game, you could see kind of some things lingering from that loss, but they shook it off quickly. And again, despite everything that drones galore, everything that happened in that game, it was a weird, wacky Thursday night game. And Peter, they always seem to be weird and wacky, but the Ravens got the job done. And honestly, you look at that score, dominating fashion they did it in.
Stay up to date all year on the Baltimore Ravens by subscribing to Locked On Sports today and Locked On Ravens on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube.